enough. Look in the mirror. Talk to me nice. Don't need to settle. I'm on another level. Yeah. I know you're feeling low. Don't take it personal. This life's a miracle. So what the fuck? Don't need to settle. I'm on another level. You ain't nothing else. Wake up, it's new day. Oh, get up. Come on. It's a new day. We should be excited about the fact that we're still in the land of the living. So that obviously means there's still more work for you to do here. Okay. Wake up, it's new day. Oh, oh, oh. But I know, talk to the Lord inside every day. Blessings on blessings come my way. It's in our DNA. Ain't nothing else you can say. Get up. Wake up. It's a new day. Sunshine on your face. Oh, I know you're feeling low. Don't take it personal. It's like some miracle. Oh, oh, oh. All right. I'm going to give it a few more seconds and then we're going to get started. Again, welcome to week 2 of the S.T.A.Y method. If you've made it thus far, let me say how proud I am of you for staying the course and trusting your process. This is a self leadership journey. And so that means you prioritizing yourself and making it your business to make the changes necessary in your life so you can go into the higher version of yourself. So high five, girl, sir, wherever you are. I'm proud of you. I know you're feeling low. Don't take it personal. It's life's a miracle. Oh, oh. All right, so we're going to jump into the lesson. Welcome to week 2 of the S.T.A.Y method framework. Today, we are going to be talking about spotting the pattern, which is the gateway for uncovering your emotional blueprint. Okay. Hey, who is this? Rudris Mandela. I don't want to mess your name up. Hey, my love. Welcome. Grand Rising, Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Come in. Make yourself comfortable. You already know me. When you get on here, you need to have a pen and paper ready to go. But I've also already told you in order for you to get the most out of this next 8 weeks, you're going to need to get your copy of the S.T.A.Y method, okay? So you can inbox me. I will put my email in the description so you can get your copy, okay? Now, I'm going to jump in. If at any point you have any questions or comments, please feel free. Remember, we're in this space together. I'm here for you. So don't hesitate. Don't be shy. If you have something that you want to talk about, please feel free. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Last week we talked about awareness, okay? And so part of your awareness is going to be able to spot the patterns. The only way for you to put a rift in this loop that you're stuck in is going to be for you to be able to spot these patterns so you can begin to put a stop to them and create your emotional stability, okay? So, emotional reactions rarely occur in isolation, okay? They often repeat in predictable ways, forming patterns. This week, you will move beyond individual instances of of emotion to identify these reoccurring cycles. By observing the patterns that shape your emotional life, you gain the foresight to anticipate and eventually interrupt these patterns, creating an opportunity for conscious choice. Remember, as long as you're stuck in emotional instability, your life is going to be an emotional roller coaster. So, again, this is a part of your accountability and responsibility to yourself, okay? So, we're going to talk about what emotional patterns are, how they work, the common types of patterns, why it's so hard to break them, and what we can do to break the cycle, okay? So, an emotional pattern I'm sorry. An emotional pattern is a reoccurring habit. Why am I reading this like this? Let me start over. Let me do that again. Let me do that again. Emotional patterns are reoccurring habitual ways of feeling, thinking, and reacting to familiar situations. They develop as subconscious neural shortcuts, often stemming from early life experiencing. Child, I don't know what's wrong with my words today. Not life experiencing. My God, life experiences acting as survival or coping mechanisms to protect you from emotional distress. Okay, I'm sorry I slithered that. Let me read that one more time. An emotional pattern is a reoccurring habitual way of feeling, thinking, and reacting to familiar situations. They develop as subconscious neural shortcuts, often stem from early life experiences, acting as a survival or coping mechanism to protect you from emotional distress. And what did we talk about last week? A lot of times, often in life, we think that we're living, but we're actually operating out of survival mode, right? Trauma mode. These things that have happened to us in the past. So this is where you breaking these habits is going to be vital, okay? It's the only way for you to begin to thrive and fully grow. Remember, there is a difference between who you are, who you were, and who you are becoming, okay? And a lot of the times when we are moving on in our lives, being that we have not healed from these past traumas, experiences, and things, they keep stuck. They're not allowing you to move. This is a part of you standing in your own way. Okay? So let's talk about how these emotional patterns work. Emotional patterns form recognizable, automatic sequences when a familiar trigger or situation arises. Now, there's going to be three things in this part right here, okay? The first thing is the trigger, which is the T in the S.T.A.Y method, which is to trace your triggers. This is where your brain registers a familiar stressor or relational dynamic, okay? And then once that trigger is initiated, comes the surge. And this is where those feelings begin to arise and surface, quickly accompanied by a feeling of anxiety. Okay. And once that surge is triggered, what happens? You go into the defense mode. And this is a way for you to protect yourself. It's an automatic protective response. Okay. And it can come up in the form of you people pleasing, shutting down, or over explaining to bring immediate relief. So in this moment, when you feel the trigger, the surge, the defense, this is a moment of awareness. This is a moment of you being conscious. Remember, 95% of the way that you operate during your day is coming from the subconscious mind. You're not participating at all, my things keep reoccurring in your life. So, a part of your responsibility to yourself is when you recognize these things, you need to step into action. You need to make it your business at that moment to put a rift in that loop. Now, the thing about it is, once you recognize these things, if you choose to acknowledge it or not, because remember, you cannot change something you do not acknowledge. Okay? Hey, big dog. Hey, William Card. Hey, baby. Welcome, Grand Rising. Grand Rising, come in. I'm so happy that you're here. And I'm going to tell you one thing about me is I absolutely know and believe that if you find yourself here at this moment, it is absolutely on purpose. But the thing about it is, it's your responsibility to figure it out. Okay? I don't believe in luck or coincidences. Everything happens absolutely for a reason. Okay? Who is this? Hey, Russell Carpenter. Hey, my love. Welcome. Grand Rising. How are you doing? So, let's talk about the common types of patterns, okay, to your emotions, okay? The first one we're going to talk about is people pleasing, which I absolutely know very well because I used to be one. A people pleaser is someone who habitually prioritizes others' needs while ignoring their own, driven by a fear of rejection or a need for external validation. Now, I'm going to take that a little step further. I know for me, where my people pleasing came in was because, and if you know me, a little bit about me, I've told you this before, this is a part of that generational cycle. Unfortunately, we are born into generational change, bondages, and cycles. And well, when I came into the world, I came under my mother and my fathering's covering. And well, they did not have the best, what is that word people call? Reputation, right? And so being that is who they were, people automatically tied me into their characteristics. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so I absolutely went out of my way to please others. No was not a word that was even in my vocabulary. I was absolutely a yes man, which left me leaving myself by the wayside 9 times out of 10. And when it came time for me to take care of myself, for example, to be present for myself, when it came to me prioritizing myself, I didn't know how because I was so used to putting everyone else first. Okay? So you have to be mindful of this. Remember, you cannot take care of anybody else unless you're taking care of yourself first, my love. So the next one we're going to talk about is avoidance and withdrawal. Now, with avoidance and withdrawal comes you shutting down, going numb, or ghosting when faced with criticism, conflict, or high stress situations. For this part right here, when it came to the avoidance and withdrawal, this is where my addiction came in. I told you I was very highly addicted to drugs. My early part of my life up until adulthood, up and well into my 30s here. And a part of that addiction was because I did not want to feel emotions. I didn't know how to feel an emotion because they were unprocessed. And whenever the emotion presented itself, it had the capability of taking me down. Despite what I was feeling before that emotion arose, it would just completely knock me off course. And so the way for me to avoid that was doing what? Numbing, avoidance, and withdrawal. So please be mindful of this. And also, this is a little another side note in here for me. My parents were addicted to drugs. And what do they say about addiction? They say that addiction is hereditary. I personally don't like to think about it that way because when I think about it that way, it makes me feel it used to make me feel like I was weak, or yeah, basically like I was weak. And so I want you to know that that's not the case at all. We can only do what we know. right? And so in your adolescence, what do? You learn from the people around you. So if you are someone that is struggling with addiction, like I was, please, please, please give yourself what I always tell you, some grace in this space. The next thing we're going to talk about is the frustration anger cycle. This is where a conditioned response, where a situation spinning out of control triggers immediate frustration, which escalates quickly into anger or guilt. Now, let's talk about it right quick. Because the thing about being frustrated and angry is what? When you're not in control of your emotions, everything changes. So now the decisions, your actions, and your behaviors are coming out of that anger, that frustration. And what happens a lot of the times when that anger calms down? You realize now that you have reacted or made choices that were in not your best interest. And at the end of the day, this is all about you. This is a self journey. So if you start sabotaging yourself in these moments, if you are against you, then who is for you? I want you to think of it like that. I also want you to think about it like this, because when you allow somebody to frustrate you or make you angry to a certain degree that you cannot contain yourself or your reactions, at that moment, you gave your power away. You have relinquished all control to yourself. And now that situation, that person now has the power over you. That's not the way to do that. Okay. So in those moments that you feel this frustration and anger, I want you to stop reacting. You have to stop reacting and start responding, okay? There is a big difference between responding and reacting. Oh, Lord. The next one is perfectionism and harsh self criticism. And I'm going to take that a little step further and add in self sabotage, because that's what happens in this moment. Because, first of all, what do we know? No thing or no one is perfect. So, to hold yourself to that regard, you know me, I'm sorry. I'm open, honest, and transparent. For me, that was an excuse because, well, I knew it wasn't perfect because nothing is perfect. And being that it's not perfect, that's another excuse for you not to start, right? For you not to do, for you not to move. You have to be careful with that. And when it comes to perfectionism and harsh self criticism, that is an eternal loop where any mistake triggers intense anxiety, leading to relentless inner critics that demands flawless performance to feel worthy. So now it doesn't matter what you do, how you do it, when you do it, it's never going to be good enough because you're holding yourself up here when you've not even made the first step to get here. So, how could you, at the beginning, when you first start, accomplish to? That's setting yourself up for failure. But that's a part of your response to change. What did I tell you? That's a part of that self sabotage. This is why I tell you to take it one piece, one step at a time. Okay. The next thing is going to be the strong one complex. Oh, God. Well, I did it. I did it. I did it. I did it. I've been on my own since I was 11 years old. Okay. Why? Because of the things I came from. So, with that being said, Not only that, let me add this little side note in, because you also have to understand what it means to be chosen, right? The chosen ones, your life is always going to be chaotic, and it normally starts at a very early age. Okay? With that chaos being that you are the chosen one, there's a certain wit about you, right? So being that you were immersed in this chaos and this trauma, you also have that inner knowing and that inner understanding that there is more. There's more there for you. But also being that the things that were placed upon you in your life in these certain experiences and situations, you recognize what? That you were the strong one. And at that moment is when you stood up to the plate and took all those responsibilities of everyone around you and everything around you to core. These now became things for you to do. So again, I've been on my own since I was 11 years old, but at that moment, at 11, I became a full adult. I knew what I had to do. It was very clear to me. Was it easy? Absolutely not. My life was one mess after another, but that's what it looks like. That's a part of that molding, that's a part of that shaping. Okay? So, the strong one complex is when suppressing your own stress and vulnerabilities to solve problems for others, often masking internal exhaustion or burnout. You will drive yourself in the ground because asking for help is not an option. And a lot of times you think about when it comes to people not being able to ask for help, like it's an ego thing, right? Or a pride thing. But I know for me, it really wasn't even that. I absolutely knew there was no one around me to ask for help. How can somebody help you when they cannot help themselves? That's where toxicity comes in. Because now you've allowed these unhealed, untransformed people to now guide you and speak into you when they don't know what they're doing. But it's all you know, it's all you have. And what do? We trust it. That's a part of growing up, right? That's a part of adolescence. So if you are struggling with that strong one complex, I'm telling you now, lay it down. Okay? Let it go. Let it go. At least for the time being, until you can rise up into the higher vibration of yourself and actually understand that role, right? And what it comes with, what it entails. Set it down. This is one thing I need you to understand about your journey. You have to get you together before you can come back for the others. Because part of you going into your higher self is going to be isolation, my love. It's going to be separation. And the automatic response for you is you're going to want to pull those people up with you. But I'm going to tell you now, you cannot do that for the simple fact that they have not risen in consciousness yet. They're not on the trajectory that you're on. They can't see the perspective that you see from. And so, what's going to happen is, in the midst of you trying to pull them up, they're going to pull you back. Okay? This is a part of sacrifice, my love. And guess what? You're it. You're the sacrifice. Absolutely. Because that's what it feels like. Depending on who you are and your journey, when it comes to you changing your life, When it comes to you becoming the higher vibration of yourself, a lot of the times it's so selfless. You're not even doing it for you, you're doing it for everybody connected to you. And they don't even know it. And they don't even know it. So now you're over here sacrificing and doing the things that you need to do to get yourself together, and there is no appreciation or support whatsoever. Stay your course. I've been there. It will absolutely make you want to throw in the towel. But this is where I remember when Spirit told me, you have to get comfortable and used to being the only one. Okay? One. And I don't know if you know this about the number one. One is the only number that is divisible by itself. It is the only number that can stand alone. Everybody else, every other number cannot be anything without the one. So you being that one, that means you are the root, you are the core, you are the beginning of. Okay, it may not be here yet, granted, but this is why you sit in this space here now doing your work. Okay, so prepare for that separation, that isolation. Okay, now why? Why God? Why God today? Is it so hard to change? Why is it so hard to break these patterns? Because at this moment, it's who you are. It's all you know. It's all you've seen. Let's talk about that part right quick. The fact of the matter that all you've seen looks a certain way, and now God, now Spirit, now the universe is requiring you to be something else, that is a lot. Because who did it before you? Who do you know? Who is the example? 9 times out of 10, no one. So this is you building you from scratch. This is you becoming. It's not an easy feat, love. It's not an easy task. It's not an easy job to accept. It's not an easy position. Okay? So don't be so hard on yourself. And remember, you have to believe a thing before you receive it. So when God, Spirit, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, starts giving you, because what's going to happen is once you open yourself up, what did we talk about last week? That becoming aware, that consciousness, that is a whole new world. Okay? You're not going to look like here what you look like there. You're not going to feel like here what you felt like there. And so when you start getting these beautiful downloads about yourself, who you are, who you're becoming, who you were created to be, you have to believe it. You're not going to see it right now. You may not feel it right now, but you must believe it. And this is where writing it down is going to come in play. Write it down, my love. This is a message. This is a download. Affirming and confirming is a thing. So even though you don't believe it, write it down. That's why I told you to get this side journal along with your book, right? It's a lot happening in this space. Okay, you are waking up for the first time. You were born, you're living, you're in the world, love, but you're not living until you are reborn, until you're born again, until you awaken, however you want to say it. And this is going to be a part of that awakening. So write it down. Write it down. Okay. Write it down. You writing it down, telling God, you know what, God, listen. Because this is how I was. I'm a hot mess right now, and I don't see what you see, but I hear you, right? So this is you writing it down. This is you affirming. This is you confirming. Because again, there's a difference between what? Who you were, who you are, and who you're becoming. Okay? So write. Please. Write. Now, the problem with this is when it comes to breaking these patterns and cycles, bondages, chains, whatever it is to you off of your life is your mind, your body currently relies on a reward system. And that reward system reinforces those habits. So even if an emotional response is unhealthy, it brings quick relief to that situation. Why? Because you don't want to feel that anxiety. You don't want to feel that pain. You don't want to feel that trauma. You don't want to. And the only way for you to calm it down is to do what you know. And the problem is doing what you know 9 times out of 10 is not the right thing. Okay? So at those moments now when you are in awareness, okay? And let me take it back a notch because you may not even be in awareness. And again, that's okay. You have to get comfortable with being aware. Okay. And the thing about being aware is there are several different types of awareness. So again, don't be so hard on yourself. You're just learning. This is like you beginning to ride a bike and learn how to ride a bike. This is what your training wheels are for. This is your training wheels. Okay. And once you get good and ready, we're gonna take them off. But for right now, you got your training wheels on. Okay. And so you're not going to be used to operating outside of the program. That's why it's called a program, a system. You're locked in. You are locked in. So, guess what? Now that you are beginning to work your awareness and your consciousness, guess what's going to happen? In those moments of automatic response, reaction, I should have said reaction, not response, because if you respond, then you're not reacting. So let me correct myself. But in those moments of automatic reaction, now that consciousness is going to kick in, that awareness is going to kick in. And in that moment, when it does, pause. That is your moment of pause. That pause is what is going to allow you now to respond instead of react. Because remember, as long as you're reacting, you're part of the system. I don't care if it's a person pushing your buttons, if it's a situation happening outside of you that feels bigger than you and you can't see the solution. So now that situation has consumed you. At that moment, when that awareness and that consciousness kicks in, pause. That is your moment of being in control. At that moment, you just step back into your power. Because before you were not in control, but that was not your fault because we have to get comfortable in doing what? Operating now in this conscious space, right? 95% is lived in the subconscious. So God, the fact that you even had that moment of clarity, pause. Not only pause, but assess the situation because 9 times out of 10, once you get do this a few times, you are going to begin to see the pattern. You are going to begin to see that place, that person, or that thing in all these different scenarios. And when you start to spot the pattern, that's when you do what? You begin to alleviate that reaction to those things and slowly begin to break yourself away from the program. right? You have to understand, you've been living in this space your whole life, right? So I don't care if it's your mother, your father, your children, your co-workers, your boss at work. Let's talk about the people first. We're talking about the people. These people know you. At least they know what you showed them. And guess what they're going to do? They're absolutely going to push your buttons. Why? Because them pushing your buttons is them getting their buttons pushed. This is their fix. Remember, energy is an exchange. Everybody is not operating out of the same energy, my love. And so when you come into a person, a place, or a thing that does not have your best interest at heart, you should feel a disrupt in that energy. Okay? You're going to feel a disruption if you're present, but you have to be aware and present to feel it. Okay? So the way to begin to now shift these patterns, right? Because now you look, now you're ready. Now you kind of okay, week two, okay, not the best, but there is that awareness that is coming into play, right? So the first thing is tracking those triggers, identifying the specific moment, because it's going to be a moment, it's going to be a word, it's going to be a memory, it's going to be a contact, a context or an interaction with someone that sparked those emotions. And before you know it, at the moment that emotion is sparked, you go back into that old program, that old operating system. Okay. So when you recognize those triggers, pivot. Don't allow yourself to entertain them. This is you stepping into your power. The next thing is noticing body signals. Your body is absolutely going to let you know something is happening. So pay attention to the physical tension, changes in heart rate, or breathing when it shifts. That is a signal. That is the beginning of a signal letting you know something is happening. And last but not least, practicing the pause. I'm telling you, that pause is everything. Not Not only look, because in that pause, you got to understand. I keep telling you this. When you're having interactions with people, pay attention. Pay attention. If you're paying attention, you will absolutely see somebody push your button and then sit back and wait on your reaction. But in the moment you don't react accordingly to what they were expecting, you are absolutely going to witness a fail of their system now because you've not reciprocated that energy that they needed to keep themselves charged up. And so now you're going to witness their system beginning to shut down. This is where energy vampires come in. So that pause is you creating a window of space before automatically reacting, which is going to allow what? That logical mind, that conscious mind to properly respond instead of react. Okay. Now, I know this might sound like a lot, and it is. Sometimes it is, but pace yourself and brace yourself. I didn't mean to say brace because when you brace, what are you doing when you brace? See, that's a little test for you. I didn't mean brace because what happens when you brace? When you brace, you're preparing for impact. You're preparing for something to go wrong. We're no longer bracing because we're in control. Okay. So this is you now being able to properly respond. So I'm going to leave you with two things to work on to go into next week, okay? The first one is going to be your self leadership reflection. And this is, I want you to think about what emotional patterns do I consistently find in myself? And what are the common circumstances or people? What I tell you, that go to people. Woo, you gotta watch them people. What are the common circumstances or people involved when these patterns emerge? And I'm gonna tell you now. In this space, in this time of you going through your emotional blueprint, you are absolutely going to have to face some hard truths, okay? And with facing those hard truths, you're absolutely going to find the ick. That's what I call it, the ick, because there's absolutely going to be moments in there when you have this realization now, or you can see how you were moving or responding, I mean, reacting and whatnot. And it may make you feel some kind of way. I'm going to tell you now, I'm telling you from experience. But this is why in this next 8 weeks, we're doing what? We're being open, honest, transparent, and vulnerable with ourselves. So, in those moments where you feel that ick, or you say, "Oh my God, I can't believe I," it's okay. It's okay. That was then, and this is why you are here where you are now. So you don't have to keep repeating that. Okay, this is a part of accepting the responsibility of getting yourself together. Okay. So don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be overcritical. Don't be, this is a part of the process. This is a part of the learning. We have to go through it in order to get to the other side. It's nobody's business. This is your journey. Okay. So all that, let it go. And the last thing I want to leave you with is a weekly affirmation. And this affirmation says, I recognize my patterns with clarity and compassion. That's it. That's it. Look, easy peasy, right? I know it's a lot, but it's not a lot. It is a lot, but it's not a lot. I'm not going to say it's not a lot because I'm going to be lying to you. It's a lot. But again, that's why I tell you what, piece by piece, day by day. You don't have to, oh God, I wouldn't even try to do this all in one day or one time or one. It didn't take you one day or one moment in time to get this way, right? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. This is your journey. This is your life. The only person who can hold you back is you. That overthinking, that you gotta slow it down. So this is why I'm gonna tell you. Start meditating. Okay. Start journaling. You have to start releasing. You cannot keep carrying things from last season into the next season. We just been this blue moon, the blue moon portal that we're under right now. This is a time to release. Let me leave you with this little side note here because I'm about to get off. A lot of times in your life, you think that you need to fix something or something needs fixing, my love. It doesn't need fixing. It needs for you to let it go. And that's what this blue moon portal is about, releasing. Okay, you got to remember that anchor, that luggage, all those things that you keep taking with you from one relationship to another, one season to another, one place to another. No. Every time before, look, every time you get ready to go to another season, you're supposed to be going through that pack and leaving behind what you no longer need. Remember, life is a game, right? We go from level to level. And so, what you learn, what you go through in that level, in that season, that's it. Leave it there and go into the new season anew, fresh. Look, revived, right? But you can't do that as long as you keep taking all that luggage. Oh, and I know it's so heavy. I packed it around for years, like 39. It gets heavy. Okay. I love you. I thank you for being here. And I'm going to see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. Enjoy the rest of your day. But what do I want you to absolutely make sure that you do for the rest of your day? You already know. Bye bye.